When I was asked to take over a speaker slot at this Air Pollution Congress, I asked myself what specific point needed to be addressed. Instead, I'd rather would like to recap all aspects around scrubbers which are of importance to me and which remain the core of this topic. A few quick words about company SAACKE. Founded in 1931 by Carl SAACKE, the company is today managed in the fourth generation by Henning SAACKE. SAACKE employs about 1,000 people in 50 countries. The business is divided in two divisions. SIS, SAACKE Industry Systems, which is mainly engaged in the industrial firing technique with burners for diverse application and with various fuels, and SMS, SAACKE Marine Systems. The SMS portfolio comprises of three value streams: our traditional core business, marine boilers and burners, firing systems for offshore application, gas combustion units for safe handling and environmentally compatible disposal of boil-off gas on LNG tankers, and SOx Scrubbers. First of all, I would like to remind you what the motivation of the IMO was to pass the regulations of the MEPC 259. The primary goal of this regulation is to improve air pollution control. A large part of the world's population is living in areas with air quality that is far below the WHO recommendation. Air pollution leads to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, can cause lung damage and generate cancer. Air emission of sulfur oxides lead to acid rain, which results in destructive effects on forests, crops and buildings. So far so good, and even if already was much spoken about it, I would like to recap again how far SOx scrubbers can play a role here. Let's have a look to the positive and the challenging sides of the scrubbers. Scrubber capture more than 85% of particulate matters anyway. The SAAROS project, supported by the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy, aims to improve the separation rate of even the most toxic fine particles smaller than 1 micron. In addition to well-known research institutes and partners from the industry, SAACKE is involved as general coordinator. Practice has shown that most well-working scrubber systems go below the SO2-CO2 ratio limit specified by the IMO, and therefore have lower emissions of sulfur oxides compared to compliant fuels. Studies by CE Delft concluded that both the use of scrubbers and desulfurization in the refineries cause additional CO2 emissions. The use of scrubbers is more positive in this respect. The composition of compliant fuels in terms of cloud point, chemical composition, impurities, viscosity, etc. varies a lot. To adjust the right TB number and lubrication rate is difficult. Incompatibilities forming asphaltene chains, misfiring and bad ejection habits can occur, and not seldomly lead to severe engine defects. Even with a pretty much reduced price gap of $55 per ton, as we have seen it in the last couple of months, a payback of less than 4 years is possible. How quickly does the equipment of a ship with LNG propulsion pay for itself, whose extra cost can quickly amount to more than $15 million? Of course, to refit a sailing ship is much more delicate compared to new buildings, as many parties are involved and have to be aligned. Poor plannings can increase off-hire time considerably and consequently prolong the payback. Thanks to the low pH value of the scrubber wash water, corrosion is a topic. Also high velocities in the outlet duct. The right choice of material, but also the careful preparation of surfaces and the accurate application of suitable coatings is therefore of utmost importance. The PID of an open loop scrubbers appear at the first glance pretty simple. However, a lot of control device and sensitive sensors have to be maintained and calibrated regularly. Revolving crew training and a close cooperation with the superintendents in the office is of high importance. Service agreements comprising the exchange logistics of spares and sensors and remote condition analysis triggered and carried out by the supplier can reduce downtimes and avoid in compliance unnecessary discussion with port state or even detention. The impact of scrubber water to the aquatic environment, seawater by nature contains about 2.7 grams sulfate per kilogram, has been discussed a lot, and studies came to the conclusion that the effect is negligible. Nevertheless, we are facing more and more ports who prohibit to run scrubbers in open loop mode. Is this increasing number of open loop bans a showstopper? I would say no. You just have to consider that in maneuvering and at burst the engines are running at partial load. 90% of the fuel is burned outside the zero discharge zones. Of course, for owners mainly operating in short sea traffic, a hybrid scrubber might be a good idea as it reduces the number of fuel changeover operations. To summarize above aspects, scrubber represent a proven and at the same time price-worthy technology whose positive contribution to air pollution reduction by far exceeds its controversially discussed impact on the maritime ecosystem, and therefore still has its absolute justification as a transitional technology for the next 10 to 25 years towards a CO2 neutral shipping industry. Thank you very much for listening. The time for the presentation was pretty limited, so it is not possible to display and to explain the background for the statements I made above in detail. However, I would be very happy about a lively exchange of ideas and thoughts after the event. Thank you.